What is up, everybody? It is Drew, Traveler of the Burning Abyss, here with another video. And before we get into the deck profile, I wanted to talk a little bit about where I've been and what I've been doing, because I'm sure a lot of people are like, what happened? What's going on here? So, it's been close to a month since I've actually posted a video. Around a month, actually, yeah. So, essentially, my life is pretty chaotic right now. For those of you who don't know, I do work a full-time job. I do work 40 hours a week, which obviously is a good amount of time to not be at my house. Additionally, I am wedding planning, I am house hunting, basically trying to make sure that my entire life is fully in order. I've had almost no time to record a video, and when I have had time, it's usually been spent resting because I've just had very little to no energy with everything that I've had to do. But today I have a video for you, so obviously I'll be able to start posting more videos a little bit. I'm going to try and get one out once a week like I was doing before. Hopefully I don't have too many more chaotic situations pop up. I know this regional season, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to any regionals, so it's so crazy. The 4 regionals that I could have possibly made it to, I have plans on all 4 of the dates, which kind of sucks, but hey, you know what? It happens. So, that being said, we have a Mermail deck for you this week, and I think everyone's going to like this. Usually my Burning Abyss and my Mermail videos do very, very well on the channel, so I'm going to go ahead and be doing the Mermail stuff today. But before we jump into the video, if you guys are not subscribed already, make sure you go ahead and smash the subscribe button. Turn that notification bell on so you know when I upload more cool and awesome content like the video you're watching right now. And if I didn't say give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up. I can't remember already. But let's go ahead and dive right into this week's deck profile. Now, for those of you who don't know, Mermail is my second favorite archetype of all time. So obviously the first being Burning Abyss, considering the name of my channel and the overarching theme, but Mermail is definitely the second favorite deck that I have, followed closely by something, I would say probably either DDD or Salamangreat. I'm going to go with DDD. I should really, you know, use my community tab to convey some of this stuff, some cool messages to people. That way people understand me a bit more. But I love Mermails. This is one of my favorite decks of all time. I have a very spicy profile for you today. So we're starting with our main deck. We'll start with the Mermail stuff first. We have 3 copies of Abystius. This comboed with Dragoon is usually just game. You just kind of beat your opponent, you combo off. Super, super crazy. So yeah, 3 Abystius. It'll search one if you're level 4 or lower Mermails. Then I play 2 copies of Megalo. A lot of people play 1, but I think 2 is actually really good. Yeah, I've always played 2 of this, and anytime that I've played 1, it just does not go well. So I try and just play 2 because I have a lot better luck with 2. Then I play 1 copy of Pike and 1 copy of Gund. These are just the level 4 lowers that you search off of Teus. There's not really much to them other than the fact that this will help you just extend further. So yeah, pretty good. The Atlanteans, we play 3 Neptibus, which is a must. Like, you want to play 3 of this card. It's a fantastic card, puts in so much work. And the fact that it dumps for cost is even crazier. So, like, your opponent can't ash the send from deck. It's going to go off no matter what. It's pretty darn neat. Then we play 3 copies of Dragoons. I would consider this basically to be the heart and soul of the deck. Like, this card is going to do so much for you. It's fantastic. I love this. This is probably within my top 5 favorite cards of all time. Like, I love this card so much. Then we've got 2 copies of Heavy Infantry. There's a lot of combos that you can really do with this card to pop off. If you open, like, Heavy Infantry, I'm sorry, if you open up Deep Sea Diva, Swap Frog, and like another water, like, your combo is just disgusting. Yeah, it's really good. speaking of Deep Sea Diva, we do play 3 copies. This card is insane. Doesn't matter what deck you're playing it in this format, your opponent's going to try and hand trap you when you drop this card, and for good reason. Like, the card is really good. But like I said, if you open up Deep Sea Diva, Swap Frog, and another water, your combo is crazy. Then we have 2 copies of Minstrel. I don't think 3 is completely necessary. There are going to be times where your opponent wins the dice roll and they go second, so like playing 2 is more than enough. And then we have the triple swap and the Ronin. Yeah, this is just combo city. Like, what can I say? My only big concern with this engine is like Swap Frog getting banned, or Totally Awesome getting banned, or something like that. So we're gonna hope that doesn't happen. We're just gonna hope, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully nothing bad happens to our froggy boys. Then lastly, for our combo pieces for the deck, we have the Moon Glacier, the Lapis, and the Launcher. All of these serve a very important purpose. Obviously, being able to strip cards from our opponent's hand is really good in a hand trap format. Not only because it can bait hand traps out, but if your opponent hand traps you twice and you can resolve this, they're down 4 cards total, which makes them start with 2. And if you have a negation, now they're basically starting with 1. So yeah, really, really good card. Lapis Dragon, this just helps you extend, and Fishborg helps you extend. Like, it's about as basic as it gets. Then last of the monsters, we play 3 Gamseel. This might seem a little odd to some people. I know a lot of people play 2. I'm playing 3 because I'm not playing any hand traps. I am just opting to play the triple Gamseel, and I think it's working fairly well, because alongside that, for going second cards, I just play 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. I would like to try and squeeze in a copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, but I really don't want to go over 40 in the list, so I'm opting to just keep it the way it is. I think that this is more than fine. We're not going to be seeing a ton of back row decks, and even if we get hit with like a Gozen match, it doesn't matter, because like our deck is all water, and we always combo with water. So yeah, really, really good engine. Then I'm playing 3 Deep Sea Aria. If you wanted to cut this down to 2 and just play the 1 Duster in the main, you could. I think that 3 Aria is pretty solid, though, because if you start off with Mermail plays and you don't have like a Diva play, you can get to your Diva pretty easily. So yeah, I think 3 is actually, it's not bad. It's not like amazing, but it's not terrible. 1 Mizuchi and 1 Mermail of Greed. You could also take out a Deep Sea Aria for a second Mermail Greed if you wanted to. Like, there's a lot of ratio play that you can do with this deck, which is why I'm trying to give you guys multiple options. That way you don't think you have to do it this way. You can change whatever you want up in my list. Like, that's why people are like, oh, why don't you play this? Why don't you play that? It's like, this is just my list. You can play your list however you want. And I'm always toying around with my list. My lists change almost daily. So yeah. But then lastly, we play the 1 for 1 and the Called by the Grave. Just playing basically 2 God cards. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, that's basically it. But that's the main deck. We're going to go ahead and hop on over to the extra deck now. All right, so extra deck time. Everyone kind of saw the top card of the extra deck in the beginning of the video, and that is 2 copies of Totally Awesome. This card is, in fact, totally awesome. It's just very, very strong for the engine. We do play the Bahamut Shark to turbo it out with our Link engines, which we'll get into shortly. But additionally, we have another card we can turbo out, which is 1 copy of Abyss Dweller. So we have a few things that we can do, which is pretty darn neat. Obviously, setting up our negations is ideal and optimal. Pretty darn cool. I do enjoy being able to resolve Bahamut Sharks or Bahamut Shark, not sharks, and be able to set up those negates. And then the Bahamut Shark can literally just be used as a link material. And then Dweller, I think we all know that Dweller is really good, especially with tier elements running around. Like, you just cut off the graveyard and you're good. Then for the synchros, I play 1 Formula, 1 Dragite, and I play a Baron. I play the Baron for like Hulk plays. You can like banish Hulk, summon Formula, you negate a spell or trap, and then the Formula synchros with this into the Baron. yeah, that's about as basic as it gets. There are other times where you can just make this flat out. Basically, Deep Sea Diva gets you to this card, because you can get a Megalo out, and you can use the Diva, the Neptibus, and the Megalo to make Baron. So yeah, it's pretty good. And moving on to Link monsters, we have one Link Karibo, one Ahashima, which this card is absolutely crazy. I love this card. It turbos out your Bahamut Shark or your Abyss Dweller. I've been on this card for a while, for anyone who's seen my older combo videos with this deck. This card's insane, absolutely insane. You should be playing this card in this deck. Then we have a copy of Hulk, a copy of Glacia, a copy of Coral Anemone, and a copy of Appaloosa. So these are the standard Link package that I've chosen to go with, and I think that it's pretty solid. I don't really have any complaints about it. I think the flex spot is the Link Karibo. The Link Karibo is just one of those cards where it's like, okay, like we could afford to not play it, but do we really not want to play it? Because like using the launcher to make Link Karibo and then reviving the launcher immediately is really, really good. So yeah, I think Link Karibo is solid. Then lastly, we have the tech engine in here, which is absolutely nuts. It just makes the deck so much better, and it's been like the talk of the day from everything that I've been watching. And that is one copy of Sprite Elf and one copy of Gigantic Sprite. So this engine pops off in this deck, like absolutely pops off. It is insane what this can do. And the cool thing is, surprise, surprise, I'm gonna show you guys just exactly what you can do with this, just so everyone gets an idea as to how it functions. So yeah, this engine is crazy. I don't know what else to say other than it's crazy. But that is the extra deck. We're gonna hop on over to the side deck before I show you guys the combo. All right, so side deck time. As you can see on top, we have some hand traps here. We have 2 copies of Nibiru. This can be used against a plethora of matchups, not one in particular, but a plethora. We have 2 DD Crow, which everyone knows this is for Sprite and Tier Element, no surprise there. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We have 1 Droll and 1 D-Shifter. The reason for this is we also have 3 Crossout Designator. So essentially, if your opponent is playing a bunch of hand traps, like if you're worried about Nib, you side in 1 Nib going first with the 3 Designator. If you're worried about D-Shifter, you side in the Designators with the D-Shifter, so on and so forth. So yeah, basically we have some hand traps in the form of, you know, basically the ones that you could use in your deck are Nibiru's, Crows, and Droll. You're never going to side in the D-Shifter for like going second, quote unquote. It's only to stop certain matchups. Like it's going to be good against Exosister and Flunderies. So yeah, that's the hand trap and anti-hand trap lineup. And the rest is just back row removal. Just 3 Twister and 3 Evenly. I thought about cutting 1 Twister for a Cosmic, 1 Evenly for another Cosmic, and then playing a red Reboot and a Feather Duster. I'm still thinking about it. Like there are a lot of things you could do. So basically it could be 2 Twister, 2 Cosmic, Feather Duster, and Reboot. That's something I'm contemplating. I haven't fully decided yet, but we'll see where everything goes. But that is the entirety of the main side and extra. I'm gonna go ahead and show the combo so everyone can see how we play like the Gigantic Sprite and Sprite Elf. All right, so for this combo, technically you can do it with just Diva, but what I'm showing you uses an extra water monster to discard on our opponent's turn. So what you're going to do is you're going to normal summon Diva. Diva's going to trigger to special summon a Neptibus from deck. Neptibus will send a Dragoons for cost. So Dragoons hits grave, and we get to add another copy of Dragoons. Our Dragoons in grave will trigger, and that will search for Lapis. And the Lapis then gets special summoned. And then we're going to link these 2. Now, in my last combo video, which I posted probably close to a year ago now, people thought that Lapis gets banished. It doesn't. The other effect banishes it. This effect does not. It will go to grave. All you have to do is read Lapis. It's a little confusing. Lapis, when it's special from hand, does not get banished. So don't misconstrue that. So those get linked, and we are going to make a Hulk. Our Hulk will trigger, and we're going to summon our Fishborg launcher. There he is. This hits board. We'll then link these two, and we get to make a copy of Ahashima. We're going to make it right here, and you'll see why later on. So now the Ahashima will trigger, which will special summon the Dragoon from the graveyard and hand. These get overlaid into Bahamut Shark. Then we're going to activate Bahamut Shark, which is going to summon a Toad in the far left zone. You'll see why that's important later. And then the Dragoons will trigger. When the Dragoon triggers, we're going to search, in this case, for a Moulin Glacia. Now, you are going to miss your battle phase next turn, but it really doesn't make a difference because your opponent probably won't be able to play the game. So we then get to special the Moulin Glacia, and we're going to rip 2 cards from our opponent's hand because we do have 5 cards in graveyard. Now here you have a couple of things that you can do. You could actually keep the Moulin Glacia on board. Like there are ways to do this. It's kind of up to you. You can summon the launcher if you want. So launcher hits the board. This is how you make it so you don't lose the Moulin Glacia. Then link the launcher and the shark for a copy of our Glacia here. So this hits board. Then you're going to do one of 2 things. This is where it gets interesting. You can either overlay the Ahashima and the Glacia, or you can overlay the Ahashima and the Hulk. If you overlay these 2, then you don't need the other card in hand. Like you just don't need it. It's not relevant. So if we do this, we can make, I'm going to show you the better version of the combo. Basically, if you use the Hulk and the Ahashima, you don't get, like, you get your Mermail searches. Doing it this way, you don't get Mermail searches because you're overlaying this. But you'll see why I like this version more. So you make the sprite, you then detach whatever you want to detach from that, and you're going to summon a copy of Swap Frog. Oh, I'm sorry, I actually messed this up. You can't do this. So let me just backtrack a little bit. I'm like a few steps ahead of myself. So if we put these back on the board, I immensely apologize, folks. No, this is gone, right? I think this is gone. No, this should be here. This should be here. There we go. Now we should be back on track, and I think that this should not be here. This should be in here. Okay, so now we're back to where we were before. I apologize. That was completely my fault. So we're back here. There's something that I thought of that we can't do. So I was thinking of a separate combo. But we summon the launcher from grave still. The launcher gets banished because we're linking it with the Bahamut Shark to make the Glacia. So now we're back at this state. So this is going to stay here, and we are going to be overlaying the Hulk and the Ahashima for the Gigantic Sprite. Now we're going to use the effect, and we're going to summon the Swap. Swap will trigger, and Swap will dump our copy of Ronin. All right, so Ronin hits grave. Cool. Then we're going to be linking our Sprite and our Swap, and we're going to make Elf. Elf will revive the Swap. Swap will get its effect to dump a Swap. And then we will banish the Swap from grave to summon the Ronin, which we're just going to overlay into our second copy of Toad, which is really, really crazy. So essentially what we have going on here is we have these Omni Negates, which the reason that these are so crazy is that we actually are going to be able to get 3 Omni Negates out of it, because we're going to be able to revive a Toad with the Elf, which is nuts. So we commit to 1 Omni Negate. Now, if you wanted to detach during your opponent's turn to summon the 3rd Swap, you could. That's kind of your choice. But let's say we don't. we tribute the swap, and then we get to add back a card. I would advise adding back either a Dragoon, a Diva, or a Neptibus. Probably a Dragoon, and you'll see why. So then we can use Elf to revive this. Obviously, we can negate another card. Your opponent should have scooped by now. We can grab another Dragoon back. We go ahead and we negate again, and then we can grab like a Diva back. So we've got all this advantage back. We can then use the effect of Lacia, which we can discard a Dragoons. So basically what this does, during your opponent's turn quick effect, you send one card from your hand to the graveyard, and then you add a Mermail monster from your deck to your hand. So you get to add the Megalo, and then your Dragoons will trigger, which you could grab another Megalo if you wanted to, and you can just kind of overkill your opponent on the following turn. So yeah, and then if this gets destroyed, here's the crazy part too, okay? So the secondary effect, if this card is owner's possession, destroy your opponent's attack or card effect, send a water monster from your deck to the graveyard, then target one water monster in graveyard and summon it in defense position. So if this dies, what you get to do is you then get to send a copy of whatever you want, pretty much. Like, you could send whatever, it doesn't matter. You send a water monster from your deck to the grave, whatever you choose. It's totally up to you. And then you can revive a Toad, and then you have another negate. So that's 4 negations, and you have 5 cards back in hand. Well, you get 4 cards back into your hand, essentially, because we only started with 2, technically. Yeah, your opponent is not playing through this. Like, obviously, if they have hand traps, then it's a little different. But, like, as a whole, your opponent isn't playing through it. Like, it's insane. Absolutely nuts. Crazy combo. All you need is Diva and another card, another water card, to pull it off. And even then, you don't really need another water card, because you're going to get water cards back off of your Toad ad, which is pretty nuts. And then your following turn, if your Moulin Glacia is still on the board, you just OTK your opponent. So yeah, that's the crazy combo that we're doing. Diva is insane. Sprites are insane. Mermail sprite is crazy. But yeah, that's basically the deck profile. Hope everybody enjoyed it. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload more cool and awesome content just like the video you just viewed. And for right now, this is Drew, Traveler of the Burning Abyss, signing out.